Samuel Solder very generously gave me a year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon and brings you today's video. Well, this commander's proving very popular, so deciding to run it again. Beirut Wurmspeaker up against Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow. Yeah, I don't fancy my odds against this commander, but we will try. Keep this opening hand. A turn 1 Castle Vantress from our opponent. We top deck into a land, so it takes us into Lightning Greaves. Surprisingly slow start from the Dominaria player. Might be a more casual Yuriko list. A Swiftfoot Boots. Suppose we might as well play out in case they can deal with either the Lightning Greaves or the Swiftfoot Boots. It's good to have redundancy, especially against a Yuriko player. They're not likely to deal with artifacts. Blue players are more likely to deal with artifacts nowadays, but I wouldn't have thought they'd run too much artifact removal. Okay, hard casting Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow. Really unusual play so far. We draw into Voracious Worm. Get our commander into play so that we can block their commander and throw the Lightning Greaves on there. Not going to swing in. An Ornithopter from our opponent. Looks like they might have just top decked that, otherwise they could have used that to cheat their commander in and got a free hit on us. Foretelling a card here. I always assume that that's the 2-mana counter spell. Can't remember what it's called. Saw It Coming, I think it's called. Drawing to Elder Scale Worm now, which we're a few turns away from. Throw out and crack the Prismatic Vista. Now they are holding up mana, so they could have removal. Let's go for the Voracious Worm anyway. And they are holding on to priority, but deciding to allow that down now. Do we particularly care if Beirut only has Hexproof or only has Shroud? I don't think we want to open it up to removal by switching Lightning Greaves and the Swiftfoot Boots around, so let's just go Swiftfoot Boots onto the Voracious Worm here. And then we can swing in with that and start dealing some damage to them. And next turn, likely going to start going for the ability on Beirut. Will cost 4 mana if we manage to keep this thing in play. Are they likely to go for a board wipe? Don't think I care about losing the Boneyard Worm either way, so we'll get that into play as well. It is a 0/0 thanks to having no creatures in play, but obviously gets a +2/+2 buff from our commander. Only a couple of mana away from the Elder Scale Worm, and one of which is in our hand. Now swinging in with Ornithopter, we might see some ninjutsu ability here. No reaches, so we can't block. And there we go, it is an Ingenious Infiltrator, so they'll draw a card, and they'll get a card from the Yuriko as well. It was just a Hall of Storm Giants that they revealed, so we don't lose any life really. The Ornithopter coming back into play, so sets them up for ninjutsu again. Playing out the tap land. This is 6 to turn it into a 7/7 blue giant. It is a man land. Still holding up the 2 mana, potentially for the Foretold card. And now 3 mana with the Chrome Mox. We'll take them down to 3 cards in hand. Putting a Notion Thief under that, surprisingly. Green can get pretty good at drawing cards, so yeah, not sure about getting rid of Notion Thief. Seeing a Labman here, so maybe the combo is imminent that they're going for. Hopefully it's not the CEDH combo of exiling your whole library, because that would be pretty boring. We'll get out the Windswept Teeth, just drew into some card draw in Hunter's Insight, so let's see here. Yeah, we can't activate the Beirut, give the 6/6 Worm haste, and draw the 6 cards from the Hunter's Insight, unfortunately, so I'm just going to put it on the Voracious Worm instead. This is where it having Hexproof is actually relevant, so I'm glad I didn't swap the equipment around before. Swing in with both of our creatures, and they decide not to block, so we will go for the Hunter's Insight and draw 4 cards for 3 mana. Okay, Pact of Negation, so that gets them to tap out next turn. I don't mind that at all. They've got 1 card left in hand. Pact of Negation triggering during the upkeep, of course, so 5 mana has to go into that. We'll see if they're willing to try and go wide with a couple of Ninja here. Looks like that's what they're doing. No point really in getting rid of their commander, because they can just get it straight out again with Ornithopter next turn. Does mean that they can only ninjutsu out 1 creature next turn if they want their commander back in play, but this thing's a good ninja to get rid of anyway, so we will block that one. Damage is all dealt at once, so this did still trigger off the Yuriko, so they go up to 4 cards in hand. The revealed card was a Sun Quan, and that does mean that their creatures are going to be unblockable next turn, potentially. did deal 6 damage to us as well, of course. Let's shuffle things around and grab a land out of our library. Draw into a land regardless, thought that might happen. So do we get down the Elder Scale Worm here? Could save it for later, I suppose, and just start making creatures with the Beirut. Yeah, I think we do that. The funny thing about the Beirut ability is that it does enable itself. It makes a 6/6 Trampoline Worm, which reduces this ability down to only 2. And then if we can get some untapped shenanigans going, then it's obviously even better. We'll risk losing our commander. We'll put Hexproof or Shroud and Haste onto the new Worm token. And I think their stuff is going to be unblockable anyway, so let's just start. Yeah, I'll hold back the Boneyard Worm. We'll try and deal 10 damage to our opponent. And I think we'll move the Swiftfoot Boots over to the Worm token with Trample here while we're not doing anything else with the mana. I'd rather hold on to the 6/6. If we're going to lose any creatures at all, then that's the one I want to keep. As we thought, they play out the Sun Quan here, so they're going to hit us with their Yuriko and potentially deal some more damage to us, as well as getting some card advantage, of course. Just swinging in with the Yuriko, holding back the Labman. And it is a Looter Il-Core that they reveal, so Shadow, and they'll loot whenever it deals damage to us. It's really just a ninja enabler. Playing out Bajuka Bog as well to exile our graveyard, which I'm not particularly worried about. Alright, a Nature's Claim is potentially good. We could use that on the Ornithopter. Doesn't really matter when they've got this in play though, so probably best to just hold on to it. Activate the Beirut again, which is only 2 mana now. Lightning Greaves onto the Worm token, and Horsemanship is in play now, so yeah, we can just swing in with everything apart from the 2/2 again. Managing to get rid of their Ornithopter. They only block 2 damage there. That does have Trample, so 2 still goes through, but yeah, still good to get rid of Ornithopter, because we might be able to blow up the Sun Quan at some point. Managing to get them down to 4. The Trample doing some work for us here. Our opponent playing it out, seeing what he can get with the Yuriko, swinging in with everything here, because we've got him next turn anyway, so he might as well. I suppose he'd be after a board wipe at this point. Revealing off the top this time a Moth Dust Changeling, which is a ninja. Not going to help them here though. And that was the Foretold card and Alrund's Epiphany, so they get an extra turn after this one. Taking 1 damage to the City of Brass in order to play that. They could have tapped this down, so not sure they needed to do that. They might want to get down the Moth Dust Changeling here though, so doesn't make any difference. And yeah, there we see the Changeling. So they've got 2 ninja in play now that they can hit us with. We can gain some life with the Nature's Claim if we're desperate. Once again, turning everything in sideways and likely just hoping for something really big off the top. And then tapping down some mana during the blocking phase. And they do have an Injutsu, that is Higa of the Still Wind. They traded out a bird token for that, so gonna hit us with 3 ninja here. Our opponent might still get us yet, so we're gonna go down to 6 life here. Yeah, it's fairly likely our opponent gets us here. I think I'm gonna go for Nature's Claim onto the Swiftfoot Boots now. Won't mind losing this one because it has been a more fair Yuriko matchup. We haven't lost on turn 3 or something crazy. Alright, so 3 triggers here. And then the Higa of the Still Wind trigger as well, searching their library for a ninja. Revealing a Mox Opal, a Cabal Coffers, and a Damnation wouldn't have got us anyway. I think I said we'd be down to 6 life, did I? Don't think they can afford the Damnation here either. And they tutored up a Fallen Shinobi. Mox Opal is not going to tap for mana. They don't quite have Metalcraft, so I don't think they can afford the Damnation here. Playing out the Opal anyway. And the Cabal Coffers, they don't have many swamps in place, so that doesn't matter. It won't tap for mana itself either. It's noteworthy that if we had our Yavimaya in play, we'd essentially help our opponent to wipe our board there, which it is relevant nowadays because Yavimaya sees a lot of play. Giving our opponent an additional mana would absolutely be relevant here. Yeah, and that's enough for our opponent. He obviously can't do anything. 7 cards in hand, but doesn't have enough mana to wipe the board, unfortunately. So yeah, we just get him on the swing back next turn. Could have got down our Mythic Worm next turn as well if we were desperate and thrown the Lightning Greaves on that. even if they had wiped the board. One, we can use that to deal lethal damage to them still, but even if they were a higher life total, it would potentially protect our life total by keeping us at 7 life, so that could have bought us a lot of time as well. But yeah, facing off against a fair Yuriko list, which makes for a good 1v1 two-sided game. Wasn't too powerful on either side there, I don't think. If you want to continue to see more from Beirut, then be sure to leave the video a thumbs up. That will show support to the video and will potentially push it through to other subscribers as well, so a big thank you to those of you who do that already. Huge thank you to the patrons as well for helping me to stick around doing these videos. They're very time consuming, so their monetary support really helps. Link to that is in the description below if you want to support. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.